gotta understand. You gotta understand. It's levels to this. It is levels to this. Sean B. Stoller, what do you mean? It's a metaphor for life. It's levels to this. It's levels to this. You know, it's like, to my young folks and people starting all over, what it's really about, it's a couple of levels that's important to you. And the first one is being a hundredaire. Being a hundredaire. You know what I'm saying? Being a hundredaire. And that's where it's mostly for my young folks, you know what I'm saying? When you first start working, you're a hundredaire. You working for hundreds, you know what I'm saying, a week. In most cases, there are situations where, you can start off higher, but for the most, you're a hundredaire. So when you first start making a little bit of money, man, and you're a hundredaire, your first few checks, let's say you've been at the job for about 4 or 5 months. The first thing you do not do is go get you a brand new car. We're going to say a Corolla. You don't go get you a brand new Corolla and you a hundredaire. No, stop. Do you feel me? Pay attention. You do not start off with a brand new Corolla and you a hundredaire. That's your first mistake of putting you deeper in debt and putting you behind. Do you feel me? So when you a hundredaire, most likely you still staying with your relatives. Mostly for the young folks, you still stay with your parents or uncle, somebody, grandmother. The key to this is having patience. You gotta have patience when you're a hundredaire. Do you feel me? You gotta have patience, man. You gotta have patience. Because being a hundredaire, you're gonna find out there are a lot of limitations and things you just can't do right now. Like I said, it's only temporary, but you have to understand that in your mind that, hey, I have to understand my position and where I'm at right now. So being a hundredaire, getting a new Corolla, no. Slow down, Turbo. Slow down, Turbo. Do you feel me? You better holler at one of your uncles, your cousins, your friends, somebody kin to the family where you can work out something where you can get you a car, you know what I'm saying, for the low. You feel me? Something to get you started because you're going to need, eventually reliable transportation. Do you feel me? But being a hundredaire, you need to slow down, young grasshopper. Do you feel me? Hey, and learn how to maintain that first. That's the key. Because it's levels to this. It is levels to this. Do you feel me? So when you that hundredaire, you really in a good spot. I'm going to tell you why. Because usually you're going to start somewhere where you have an opportunity to grow within the company. You have opportunity to grow within the company, being a hundredaire, because usually it's an entry level type position. Do you feel me? Because it's levels to this. Follow me, man. Like I said, I give it to you. You know what I mean? I give you the content, man. I give you the game. Just, you know what I mean? Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit a like. Leave a comment. Hit that subscribe button. You a hundredaire. You need to learn patience anyway. Go ahead and do that. I'll wait. But being a hundredaire, you need to learn patience, and this is where you start to skill up. Do you feel me? So being that hundredaire, you're going to get opportunity, most likely within the company, Or it could be a stepping stone. You could be in college right now, but it's some little trinkets in there that will benefit you later on in life. So being 100 is not a bad thing. It's just not something you want to stay at. Do you feel me? Because there's levels to this. You know what I'm saying? It's levels to it. So you've been grinding for a while. Now you move it up to 1,000 there. Now this is where it get a little more interesting. When you 1,000 there, now you can afford that new Corolla, but do you really want to do that? Do you feel me? Do you really want to do that? I mean, you just got over being 100 there. Now you 1,000 there. It's a critical moment here. You can set yourself up for a lot of debt, or you can keep stacking your money and still live like you 100 there. Do you feel me? It's levels to this, man. It's levels to it. Like I said, I'm going to give it to you, man. So, you finally moved up to 1,000 there. But you remember those times when you were 100 there. Because when you were 100 there, you were entry level. Now you moving up, maybe supervisor position, crew lead, whatever it is. But the key is you have to remember your position. Know your position. Do you feel me? See, this is all a metaphor, but it's some of what I'm saying is exact and some is not. But please follow where I'm taking you. Like I said, you just came from the 100 there, now you 1,000 there. So you moving up, but you can have some critical things that will detour you. Do you feel me? So being 1,000 there, I wouldn't recommend getting that new Corolla, but you can get you a used one. You can get you a used one. You know what I'm saying? Get you a used one. And because you was stacking a little bit of dough, you got something for a down payment to get your payment at a reasonable price. But it won't break you, though. You know what I'm saying? And you're still able to stack. Now, keep in mind, I'm not in consideration, not taking in consideration if you have kids or any other bills, but coming from 100 there, now you're 1,000 there, you're still not quite there yet. So I wouldn't, recommend to make too big of a purchase, but something, modest. You know what I'm saying? Something that won't break your bank because you just became 1,000 there. So you want to pay attention to that, and I start to understand your debt structure. Do you feel me? It's like I said, you want to always think forward, think ahead. And being 1,000 there, you have a little bit more leeway. You're able to make a few more purchases that you wasn't able to do at 100 there. 100 there, you're kind of struggling. But, you could see that you have potential. But being 1,000 there, okay, you can flex a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It's levels to this. Please believe it. It is levels. Do you feel me? Like I said, I give it to y'all, man. I give it to y'all. Come on, man. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Because it's levels to this. You know what I'm saying? And when you're 1,000 there, because now you can start taking a few little trips. Nothing too crazy, but take a few trips because you out there working hard. But you have a little bit more flexibility. So being 1,000 there, you get in there. That's letting you know, okay, boom, you have something now. You're able to really look at yourself like, okay, I'm moving up. Now, when you get to the 100,000 there, this is where it really get dicey. 100,000 there, oh yeah, now you can do some things, but you don't want to go too big. You don't want to go too big, because what'll happen is, now you can go get you the new Corolla, the new Charger, the new Ford, you feel me, the new Chevy. But you got to remember. Remember when you was a hundredaire. Remember when you was a thousandaire. Now you 100,000aire? It's levels to this. Do you feel me? The 100,000aire can be very tricky because I'm going to tell you this. Depending on how you set up your debt structure, it can actually help plateau you up to significantly, possibly into $1 million range, but it's all about your debt ratio. Your debt ratio. It all depends on how you do your debt. You know, if you go and get that new Charger, you go get that new Corolla, you can go get that new Audi. But if your debt ratio is too high, you will be living like you 1,000aire, possibly 100aire, because that car payment, the insurance, maintenance, it can set you back a hefty penny. So you have to think about what you're doing, because you remember them days when you was 100aire. You remember them days when you was 1,000aire. Now you 100,000aire? It's levels to this. It's levels to this. Now, this is, like I said, this is where it get really tricky, because you can really elevate to a higher level, or you can fall down to a very low level. Do you feel me? See, I give it to you, man. It's levels to this. See, I give it to you. So being 100,000aire, now you can take those trips. Take the family on trips. Make those big purchases that you've been wanting to do. But the key is, you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to overspend. Because yeah, you'll be making those 100,000, making that 100,000 a year, but you'll be living like you're making less than 50,000 a year if you overspend. Do you feel me? Do you feel me? Now, this is where a lot of people make the mistakes, being 100,000aire. Because now you feel you kind of untouchable. But if you remember those nights, being 100aire, being 1,000aire, you know that you don't want to go back to that again, right? So know your position and always think ahead. Do you feel me? You know? And they do have companies out there that actually can help you with your finances on how to structure your debt and how to pay things. So I strongly encourage that. For some people who's not don't feel like they're good at managing money, there are corporations, private companies that can help you with that. So I strongly recommend for you to research that, because that can help you in the long run. You know what I'm saying? So that's a little bit of tip there, you know what I mean? Because it's levels to this, but you got to understand your position and make the adjustments when they are necessary. Do you feel me? You know? Because I work with a lot of people, you know, make definitely good money. But some of us, you know, some of the folks I work with, you know, they'll come back and tell me like, man, I shouldn't have bought this, I shouldn't have bought that, because it set them back. And now, yeah, they make a good amount of money, but majority of it is going to car payments. You know, mortgage is just way too expensive, where you have to work overtime all the time to maintain your lifestyle. So Don't be that guy. Don't be that lady. Because if you have to work overtime to maintain and you making good money already, that's a problem. It's levels to this. You maybe living way above your means. Need to slow down. You gotta slow down. Watch the stop signs, man. You know what I'm saying? Read the oncoming traffic. It's levels to this. You know? Because you'll see some of these dudes out there, and ladies too, just living way above their means. You know what I'm saying? So you just got to figure out what type of person you want to be when it comes to your finances. And if you can't manage it, there are people, companies that can help you manage your money. Do you feel me? But if you know where you came from, being at Hundredaire, being at Thousandaire, now 100,000aire, and possibly millionaire, oh yeah, it's levels to this, man. It's levels. You know? Because a lot of people make the mistake. They make a big mistake when it comes to making those real big purchases just because they got a bonus or they got a wage increase. But you got to really look and see, is it really worth it? You got to look and see, okay, is this the type of commitment I want to make right now? You know what I'm saying? Because you got to think long term. And you got to think, especially if you're taking on a large debt, what kind of maintenance does it come with? What kind of insurance you have to pay for? You got to really consider all of these things. So to my young folks, you definitely, making large purchases, don't be so quick to do it. Really look at the paperwork and understand what this commitment is. Do you feel me? You know? Because it's levels to this. And not everybody is on the right level where they can handle it. And what happens is they start stretching themselves too thin. Where you can't even do a lot of the basics, the necessity things that you need to do for you to maintain your life. Do you feel me? See, I give it to you, man. Go on and hit that subscribe, hit that like button. There's levels to this. It's levels to this, man. You know? So, you definitely got to think about that as you start to elevate in your life. You know, if you have kids involved, you know, you want to, especially when you start being 100,000aire, you want to definitely set up a budget, you know, for your family, you know, kids, taking trips. It's very important. You know, and then also you need your personal time. Don't forget that. You know, things you like to do, things you like to purchase. You know what I'm saying? So when you become that 100,000aire, that's where it's very dicey. Because you can skyrocket to the moon or you can fall down to the ground. It's levels to this. See, I give it to you, man. Sean B. Stoller, I give it to you. It's levels to this. You know? And you just got to figure out, like I say, you know, how you want to live your life. You know, if you want to be a purchaser of, a home, or do you want to just continue being able to buy new cars for the rest of your life? You know what I'm saying? Being 100,000aire, you have so much opportunity, man. You know, you will be able to qualify for home loans. You know, home loan, whether it's for an apartment complex, for a house, some type of investment. If you're looking to open up a business, you know, it's so many avenues you can go. Especially being 100,000aire. You know, you should be in a situation where you're keeping your credit clean. Like I said, a clean face. That's important. Keeping a clean face. Being 100,000aire, You have a lot of potential to do a lot of great things. So you don't want to put yourself in a position where you're not able if you feel that's what you want to do. Do you feel me? You know? But what I would recommend, like I said, I'm not a financial specialist or nothing like that. But what I recommend is that as you start to level up, start to pay attention to how you're able to save. Pay attention to how much you're spending on your debt, credit cards. When I said debt ratio and things like that, it depends on how much you're spending. You want to pay attention to that because you don't want to overextend your credit where when you have the income, but your credit limit on your credit cards and your debt is so high, a lot of lenders don't want to mess with you, or your rates will be so high where it really doesn't make sense. Excuse me. So you want to pay attention to that. It's very important, you know, because when you're 100,000 there, you got the opportunity to really take it higher than that. But you got to pay attention to how you're spending. You know what I mean? How often are you spending on large purchases? You know what I'm saying? That's very important. It's levels to this. Do you feel me? You know? And, for me personally, especially if you don't have any kids involved or anything like that, I recommend stack that money, man. Stack your money up. Try to keep your debt low as much as possible. Life happens, things happen, so nothing is going to be perfect. That's not what I talk about. And nothing is quick, you know. So, as you level up, you start to get a better understanding of your finances and what you're capable of and things you don't want to put yourself in danger of your bills being too high, you at a very high, where your liability is just way too high. You don't want to put yourself in that type of situation if you don't have to. Do you feel me? It's very important. It's levels to this. You know? And it's like you got to really understand your position and where you at. When it comes to your finances and also your income. I mean, all of that matters. You know what I'm saying? It's levels to this. You know? So go ahead and hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. You can share. That's okay. I don't mind you sharing. You know? Because that's what my channel is about. It's about positivity and trying to give you some type of information and something a little different than your regular. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm here for. Sean B. Stoller. Sean B. Stoller is the name. But it is levels to this. And as soon as you can figure that out, you will be more successful. That's definitely what I believe. That's my opinion. You will be more successful. But you gotta know, there's levels to this. It is levels. So thank you for watching my channel. I am Sean B. Stoller. Until next time. Peace.